I'm Madeline,
I'm Kelly.
and today we're presenting on behalf of Telltale Games and implementing flexible hours. So here's our agenda. We want to address who we are. How many of you guys have heard of Telltale before today? Okay, so not that many of you. So we're going to go over who we are, what our problem and proposed solution is, and what our policy details are, and how it contrasts with what we previously had. And then Kelly will kind of go over the pros and cons, and then the action plan. So who are we? We're a video game company, and we're competing in a $36 billion industry. And you might recognize some of these titles. These are our bigger hits, The Walking Dead and The Wolf Among Us. And our point of differentiation is that our games depend very heavily on who's playing it and what decisions the players make. So might have a really different experience playing it and get a completely different story than someone on YouTube making a Let's Play. And so that sense of individuality is what really draws people towards our games versus our competitors. Our problem is that a lot of our workers reported feeling very overworked and undercompensated. There was an extreme stress culture that hindered productivity. In order to meet deadlines, a lot of workers reported working up to 20-hour shifts or working 100 hours per week. And because this was so straining and so stressful, the game qualities dropped significantly, and people and consumers reported that they felt like the newer releases really lost the personal touch that they thought of when they thought of Telltale. And because of these drops of sales, in September 21st of this year, 90% of our employees were laid off. And this was done very suddenly, all in one day. And so because our employees being overworked really hurt our sales and our game quality in general, our proposed solution is to implement flexible work hours in order to help boost creativity and boost productivity, even if the workers aren't working as many hours as they did. Those hours are going to be more meaningful and more productive. And here are a couple examples of some previous workers and the general consensus, not just in these two workers, but overall, is that a lot of workers were very overworked and underpaid and very underappreciated, and felt as though they could have easily gotten six-figure salaries elsewhere, but were stuck around accepting $30,000 to $60,000 because they were promised that the benefits later in the future would pay off. So our old policy, as I previously mentioned, included extreme work hours to meet deadlines and no compensation. Ultimately, this led to a great stress culture, and that ultimately hindered productivity. So for our new policy, we want to provide more flexible work hours so that people can work on their own terms, especially in such a creative industry, encourage work-life balance, and ultimately this will maximize productivity in the hours worked and have each hour be more meaningful. So an example of work-life balance being done right is Blizzard, Activision Blizzard. They're at 84 on the Forbes Top 500 list of places to work at. They were ranked 84, so that's extremely notable. They have flexible work options and a lot of accommodations available for their employees, such as paid leave, vacation time, flexible work hours, etc. And their focus is on work-life balance to help their employees be more productive, be more creative, and overall be more successful. And I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys have at least heard of Candy Crush, even if you're not into the gaming world. And so it's pretty evident that they're really successful. And so now I will pass on to Kelly.
Yep. So in the next few slides, I'll briefly talk about the pros and cons of our new policy. So here's a graph showing the results of a study on the ideal work environment. We can see that 54% of the workers have voted that flexible work hours, work schedules, are one of the top most important elements in ideal workplace. It is actually the second most important according to the study. So flexible work hours have a lot of provide a lot of advantages and convenience for the employees. First, they can have enough flexibility to address their personal needs. So for example, they need to be home when the FedEx delivery arrives that requires them to sign on the package. They need to be home when the plumber is home to fix the pipes. And they also need to be at the hospital or the bank before 5 p.m. if they need an appointment. Second, flexible work hours can help them avoid traffic and stresses of commuting at rush hours. We all know that it is extremely annoying and exhausting for people to be stuck in the traffic for hours when the actual trip can be actually less than 30 minutes. So flexible working hours can help the employees to avoid these traffic and the negative emotions resulted from the bad traffic. And thirdly, the employees have the chance to work at their most comfortable and productive time, which can increase the productivity. So, how many of you are a morning person who wake? Okay, not many of you. How many of you are a night person? Yeah, a lot of you, and I'm also one of you. So for a person who is not a morning person, early working hours is like a disaster. If you are required to get to work by 9 a.m., like with a hard time limit, you need to force yourself to wake up at 7, get some breakfast, get stuck in the traffic for 2 hours, and then barely arrive at the office at 9 o'clock. But with flexible work hours, you can work to your own pace and adjust your working hours according to your habits and daily routines, thus increasing the productivity. Second, as I previously mentioned, with flexible work hours, people no longer need to worry about their personal needs. They no longer need to have bad emotions from traffic, so they will have better mood at work. Third, the people can have a personal break away from work. They can get out of the office, get some fresh air. This is extremely important for employees at Telltale because they're mostly the software developers and game designers. We all know the programmers and designers need a lot of inspirations, creativity, like when they're trying to design something or debug something. So flexible work hours is very important for these people at Telltale. And finally, flexible work hours enable a shift of focus from being present at the company, at the office from 9 to 5 to actually getting the work done. So without the flexible work hours, people's focus is on, we need to be at the office at 9 and we leave at 5 or later, and we need to be there for the entire 8 hours. We just need to be there and get our things done. But if we adopt the policy of flexible work hours, the employees will focus more on getting the job done. So this will further increase the productivity. So flexible work hours not only provide convenience and advantages for the employees, it is also very beneficial for the company. First, it increases employee morale, engagement, and commitment to the company, thus reducing the absenteeism and tardiness during work. It also increases the ability of the company to attract outstanding new applicants and also to reduce turnover of valuable staff. So while there are so many advantages of flexible work hours, we are also concerned about certain risks. The first risk is flexible hours may lead to a loose, less rigorous work environment. While this may be true, our team believes that this does not mean less profitable or less successful. Second, people may take the advantage of flexibility and work less than they are required. In fact, employees are still expected to finish their tasks on time, and they're encouraged to set up weekly or monthly goals. And third, it may be hard to set up large group meetings. Our solution for this is that the meetings are encouraged to be scheduled in the common hours, such as the afternoons, and And once the meeting hour is agreed, the employees are expected to show up on time.
And finally, our action plan. In November 2018, so this following month, employees are going to complete a survey just to get a grasp as to what they want in terms of amenities, what work schedule works best for them, and how to best improve their work experience at Telltale. In January 2019, we want to lay out standards. For example, minimum hours, weekly tasks, and communications with managers. In February 2019, we will pilot the program in a smaller segment. We're probably thinking of software engineers, of programmers. And then 2020, so a year later, we're going to implement the policy to all employees and kind of use what we learned from the pilot program and implement it on a much larger scale. And now, this will leave us to open up the floor for any questions.
And actually, based on the amount of time you had for your presentation, we have run out of time for questions for today. So, round of applause for our presenters. Thank you. Those of you who were giving feedback today, if you would send me just a very quick email, I will pass that on to our presenters. Wanting to be mindful of that. Everyone, thank you